GM, Hot Takes and Cold Wallets, episode number 27. We are packed today. Nikita and Juan are here. Good morning to you guys.
Yeah, hey everyone. It's good to see everyone, and thanks Ivan for joining. Gonna be an interesting episode today. We were just talking about all the questions I have for wallets last time, so I think this is perfect timing.
Yep. Yeah, great to be at another episode. I think today is quite interesting. Has been quite some time since we had like a guest of Ivan's size. So yeah, really looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, Ivan, welcome to the show. You're the head of marketing at Ambire Wallet, so really looking forward to speak to you guys because you're actually like the premiere of a wallet being on this show. So we're really excited, and I guess we're gonna have some interesting questions resolving the wallet side of things when it comes to Web3. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me. It's an honor, really.
Before we start, we usually do the quick ChainPatrol recap. Nikita, what's been good since we last spoke? It hasn't been that long, but yeah, maybe something turned up and you gotta fill us in.
Yeah, we have a couple things going on. I mean, basically, we've just been onboarding a ton more customers, both in crypto and outside. One interesting thing is that everybody is picking up AI tools a lot now, as this is probably very obvious at this point. But one thing that we've been hearing from a lot of people is hey, is there a ChainPatrol MCP? Is there a ChainPatrol MCP? This is for everyone watching, MCP is how you let agents connect to an API, get data in, make changes. And a lot of people will be talking to you, they're hey, I don't even want to use your app. How do I just get my agent to work with ChainPatrol? And that's been kind of an interesting thought. And I think this is happening across a lot of companies where people are interacting with, their vendors or anything that they use through agents now primarily. And this is very relevant to a lot of security leads right now. A lot of people are running in the security space. They're look, I have 30 different apps to look through for alerts, for potential warnings that something went wrong, to have data to dig through. And this is something that, a lot of people have been mentioning to us. And how a lot of them are solving it is that, they have their agent go and check in on all those apps, checking on all those portals. And so... yeah, basically, if you want to, just a piece of advice, I guess, to everybody building in the security space, if you want to be successful, you need to think about, how do you make your app headless? How do you make an agent able to interact with it well? And this will help in, security, CISOs loving you and working well with you. So that's an interesting learning from the week, I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. But another interesting part of the show is going to be Ambire. And Juan, let's start with Ambire. If someone has heard the term or the name Ambire Wallet, right, but they don't know exactly what you guys are doing over there, how would you describe yourself in 2-3 simple sentences to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Well, Ambire basically is a self-custodial wallet for the wider Ethereum ecosystem. We support Ethereum first, and all the popular Ethereum compatible layer 2s and networks. And what we think makes Ambire different is that first, we have a great emphasis on UX. We are trying to get the existing wallet UX to the next level and make the wallet experience better and safer for everyone, because for us, wallets have two big gaps. First, it's usability in UX, and then it's security, and of course, privacy. This is another strength of ours, because we are trying to improve the user experience without a compromise on privacy. And yeah, I think that these are the most important things that one needs to remember about Ambire.
Is there any core audience you're looking to acquire, so to say, in users? Is it more the newcomers? Is it more the DeFi power users, or are you just all over the place
Yeah. Good question. Well, at the moment, we think that especially in times like this, when it's obviously rather a bear market with a rather bearish sentiment overall, where the newcomers are mostly on the centralized exchanges, more hesitant to try self custody and everything. And during these times, the people who are still there and who actually do crypto are the, let's say, not the OGs, but the seasoned crypto users. And the thing is that, well, everyone thinks that they've been so long in the game, they know how to do crypto. The harsh reality is that actually the user experience has been bad for everyone. So some time ago, when we started building Ambire, we decided that if we want to eventually create a good experience for the wider, for everyone, for the newcomers, for the next billion, we need to start from the seasoned people first, because we need to solve their problems. Because if we manage to solve their problems, eventually for the newcomers, it will be even easier to onboard them. So back to your question, I think that at the moment, Ambire is serving more of a seasoned crypto audience. It's absolutely safe to say that we more or less go after the people who use usually MetaMask or Ravi or Rainbow Wallet. But of course, we are also looking, because we're also looking for bringing more people to crypto and for a wider crypto adoption. That's why, for example, at the moment we have a browser extension. However, very soon we are launching the mobile app, which will bridge this gap between seasoned and new users.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into the mobile thing like a bit later in the show. But Nikita, one question for your side maybe. Is there anything that you wish would be prioritized from these wallet providers more when it comes to looking at it from a security perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot to to say. I think wallets have done a much better job recently in terms of things like transaction simulation are pretty standard now. We have things like I think pulling in more external block lists is useful. There's a lot of data out there from different communities. There's a lot of phishing that happens. We provide our own block list data out for free, but there's also lots of others. There's like East Phishing Detect. I think Ambire already pulls some of these, but honestly, there's always like we honestly should make a guide, not just like our own, like how to use our own API, but just like I think like a map of like just useful data sources out there to pull in. Because this is like free. This is like almost like free stuff, like it's like free threat intel that like people out there on the internet put together. So it's like a fairly easy thing to put in, and it will help your wallet warn users of like phishing links, like wallet drainer websites, this kind of stuff. Other than that, we can maybe talk about like 7702 a bit. I think we're going to talk about maybe that a bit later, but like that is an interesting one to me because like I know it comes with a lot of kind of almost like security vulnerabilities if you implement it in the wrong way. And so I'd love to talk about that afterwards because I think it can be useful, but it definitely is something that also brings in like new loopholes. So I think we should talk about that.
Yeah, Nikita, before we get into like the specifics of the tech, I wanted to like touch more on the user pain points, maybe, Iwan, before we get into the real like nitty-gritty stuff. What kind of problems do you see like the most when it comes to onboarding new users to crypto wallets or your crypto wallets especially? What kind of feedback maybe did you get from people which is like, hey, this is like so much better than it was when we used wallet XYZ or something?
That's a question for me, right? Because I
Yeah.
wasn't okay. Wasn't sure if I heard Ivan or Juan. Yeah. Okay, which is basically the same name, more or less. Yeah. Okay. So the pain points of new users. First of all, because as you already announced, I'm heading the marketing team of Ambire, so I'm mostly concerned with marketing at Ambire. However, the thing is that in Ambire, all of us wear many hats, and one of the hats that I'm wearing is working really closely with the development team on the wallet UX, namely on UX, but also on UX copy and on how we say things in the wallet. And some time ago, actually a long time ago, we realized that in crypto we use a pretty, so to say, specific jargon, like in every industry, and jargon is cool to some point, and it's cool when there are two developers talking in using this jargon. However, one day when you wake up and you wonder why there are no new people coming to my app, you should think about jargon, and if you're not overusing it, because I think that one of the existing problems of wallets and in crypto in general is that we think that the jargon is cool, and it is cool between us. However, it is almost understandable for people outside crypto. And this is like a super fresh example, like from an hour ago. We have this feature when in the account balance that you have dust tokens, right? And if you have a wallet that has been, that you've been using for a long time, you'll be having a lot of dust tokens. You have some, if especially if your address is kind of famous, you will be airdropped a lot of tokens. Some of them are going to be meme coins, other would be just some dust tokens and small holdings. And this kind of normalized practice here is to collapse them under the dust tokens menu. And today we looked at the dust tokens, collapsible click in isolation, and we were like, explain these tokens to someone coming from a neobank or from a centralized exchange. Like, this doesn't say anything. And there are tons of examples. I think that as wallet developers, we have, and not only wallet developers, but in crypto, we have a long road of further simplifying things. We need to find ways to say things in even simpler way with less words and so on. For me, this is one of the most, I want to say, biggest hurdles in adopting bringing new people to crypto, but one of the most interesting ones, because it's a bit overlooked, because we tend to overthink on are they gonna have a good on ramp, or what are they gonna be, is it going to be easy for those newcomers to put their idle holdings to some yield or something like that? We need on what they're going to do with the crypto. However, there's a process until they reach to this point. And I can give you a lot of micro examples in the wallet UX, but I don't think we should go that into detail. The bigger picture is make it simpler and more understandable for people.
Yeah, if you think about, if you first install like a wallet extension for the first time, like the process itself, it's pretty brutal, to be honest. Like, if you're coming from any like normal TradFi institution kind of onboarding, you're just installing a wallet, you're getting a seed phrase, you need to fund the wallet, then you need to swap tokens, you need to bridge tokens to other chains, and if something goes wrong, you as the user, you are at like total fault, and you are the only one to blame. Like, the onboarding process in Brutal, Nikita, I think has been like, wow.
Yeah. I think one thing worth mentioning too is that you're talking about all those that are kind of the tokens tab, and you receive all of these tokens, right? But like, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that now becomes almost like an inbox, and people use that to like send you stuff. You get like dust in there, you get all sorts of spam NFTs. You can get phishing links delivered directly in there. It's like, the scammers just stuff things into the metadata of the NFT. And that's like, honestly, I think from what I heard is like a big, annoyance and pain for wallet devs, because filtering all those out is a problem like in and of its own. And so just how do you everything's permissionless and you're letting users receive all this stuff, but then at the same time now they're being like bombarded with like spam, and not only do you have to build a wallet, but you also essentially have to build like an email inbox at the same time, and like spam filters and all this other stuff, which is like maybe not what you signed up for originally, or like realized you didn't even have to do as part of this journey.
Oh yeah, totally. The email inbox analogy was a very good one. I love it. Yeah.
I'll pass it to we, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. Like if you think about the risk surface that the user is facing when we're looking at a wallet. I know, Ivan, that you also like have a lot of alerts and a lot of like UI where you're trying to warn the users when they're interacting with fake stuff, or address poisoning, for example, is a pretty like common example that we see all the time. I saw that you guys like implemented something with address poisoning lately. So how do you basically try to tackle the fatigue of a user seeing all these pop-ups and all these warnings while still being able to transact confidently inside of a wallet? I think it's probably like a fine line that you have to balance out.
Okay, good one. Well, we tend to think of wallet security in two ways. There's the security that you can take against outside danger, say regular audits of the code base and our smart contracts and everything, and making sure that there's no vulnerability that can hack the wallet and ruin the user experience. Not ruin the user experience, but say drain user funds and so on. But there's also this aspect of saving users from themselves, because most of the hacks and the rugs and the drains, they happen by users willingly allowing this to happen because they're tricked through social engineering and through bad UX. So whenever there's a possibility that the user will be tricked into doing something, we think that fatigue shouldn't be a factor, because the risk is too big. So we have some annoying buttons like hold to proceed, where you need to hold and see the loader loading all the way before you can execute an action, or text in red or everything. But with self-custody, is just I think that the risk is too big and the odds are too big, because we can't. It's not MasterCard. We can't just revert malicious transaction. So in this way, there are compromises that we just can't do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because if I think about it, like the way that it's so easy to lose funds in crypto, like this is something we have been talking about like again and again and again on the show. Like one user mistake, and if they copy like the wrong address, like with address poisoning, they send all of their funds to the wrong address. And I like that there's some kind of barriers in place for the users to be reminded of, hey, you never interacted with this address before, and this would be like the first time you interact with this address. Do you think, Iwan, that from your experience with maybe like feedback from customers or whatever, that they use like contact lists or whitelists often? Are they actually using that? Because from my experience as an educator, I sometimes still discover people who have been in crypto for a long time. They don't know that there are like contact lists and whitelists to add lists. To basically to interact with addresses only that you have been whitelisted and said like, hey, this is a pass because this is one of my addresses.
Well, at Ambire, we regularly ask our users and people around us on how they use the wallet, what they found useful, what not. Interestingly enough, we haven't asked them that specific question, if they are using the address books or not. I mean, my personal observation from the people around me is that for our wallet specifically, we use the address books and we save addresses. However, namely because we can't be sure that people will be using their address books, we've done this, let's say we've added this feature where Ambire will tell you, even if you're not using address books, Ambire will tell whether you're interacting with an address for the first time. It will tell you if when the last transaction to an address was. Like, for example, you send something to an address 1 year ago, and when you try to send again, Ambire will tell you, okay, last transaction to this address was 1 year ago. This is a measure. This is like an unofficial address book because you haven't saved this address, but when we recognize that this is the address that you've sent to before, we will tell you, which is another way of another example, because you mentioned address poisoning. This is a unique feature of Ambire. I like to say, it is. For address poisoning, this has been such an awful problem for such a long time that also actually has a relatively easy solution in wallets. Like, how wallet drainers, not wallet drainers, but how wallet poisoning works. Someone mines an address that mimics the first 4 or 5 digits of your address and the last one, and they send you those tokens. Then they presume that you copy the address from Etherscan or from some explorer, and then you proceed to send funds to this address. Whenever we see such an address in Ambire, that you start, you pick such an address and you start sending funds to it. Before you click send to the funds, we will detect that this address actually looks very similar to an address that you've sent before. And we will show you, here are the 2 addresses. Here is the one that you've sent funds before, and it's a known address, and you've had interactions with it. And here is the one that you're trying to send to. And we'll show you that the first and last 5 digits, are the same, but these are actually different addresses. And this is another way of, not directly having an address book, but
Nikita, do you think that's actually like the better solution? Like, the more I think about it, the more you can take away from the user being responsible for managing all these kind of lists, etc. It's probably the smarter way.
Users shouldn't be responsible for like anything, basically. Like, they're barely responsible for anything with traditional like finance systems, right?
Exactly.
It's basically just like keep your password safe, keep your passport safe because it's your identification, and that's about it. Like, you're not worried about too many other things. And I think I really like the elegant solution that you have to to address poisoning, which is just like, hey, like, you haven't interacted with this address ever, so if you think you're sending money to your friend, you might want to double check, right? I was thinking an idea that just came up. There might even be a way to like proactively detect address poisoning. Just like check if like the start and end digits are similar to maybe an address you've interacted with in the past, if you already have those. But I guess that could get complicated if you include like dusting and all those like spam tokens and all this other stuff. So might be tricky, but could be another step. But honestly, I think this is like 80% of it solved, which is awesome. I love it.
Yeah. When you try to trigger a transaction to a poisoned address, address poisoning address, Ambire will definitely catch that and will tell you that, nice. Hey, think about it, think twice. This is not what
amazing.
So, yeah.
Also, sorry guys, I need to drop off for like 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. So I'll see you.
We keep going.
See you soon.
No problem, Nikita. See you soon. So I wonder, for you, you guys are basically just doing everything you can to support the users with signing and all that, and you also included the ERC 7730 standard, which is basically clear signing for users, which has been like a long way coming. Like the Ethereum Foundation and all that guys were on that like for a long time, because the user were just looking at raw call data. They were signing stuff they didn't understand, and you guys were at the forefront of making transactions more readable for the user now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one is amazing. Long awaited. I mean, on Ambire, even before, we've always tried to humanize transactions, and we've had our own internally set humanizer. That when you trigger the transaction, we've always tried to, tell you what the important actions in the transactions are and how they result and so on. But with the clear signing API, it's even better. And of course, it's always better when the standard is industry-wise, because
You
it's
have
the same.
on a wallet level for the clear signing, do you have the dApps to be involved there too? They probably have to do their part as well, right?
Yes. The apps should be involved, and this is actually the biggest challenge before this EAP, because on the wallet side it's relatively easy. Of course, we will support it because it's better UX for us, but for apps, they need to know the benefits in order to do it, and there's a lot of work on.
What do you think is the most common issue that dApps don't like adapt to a standard like the 7730? Is it like speed or capacity? What do you think is the reason they don't do it?
I think it's capacity on one side, because say you got a big, say, app protocol that handles a lot of user funds, large TVL and everything is working well, and every new standard and implementation then they need to consider will take up developer time and focus, and they need to access the risk and everything. And I think that's many times they will be hesitant to do so. And here, what I think is another challenge, not a challenge, not a problem, but another important aspect of adoption of such EAPs is probably the role of the foundation or the authors who need to do better job into supporting the apps into adopting those standards, like going to the apps, being much more proactive into explaining them why this is better for the ecosystem, how they should do it. And I think that these APs need to be doing marketing campaigns, if you wish, DevRel stuff.
Yeah, Juan, do you think like from a community perspective, know what you sign can get like any stronger? Because clear signing has been like in the making for a lot of time, and we have all been asking for, hey, the user needs to be sure what he's signing. He needs to be able to read in plain English what's going on with the transactions. And still now we have like this initiative going on with clear signing, and still we see like dApps not implementing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's an improvement. I see that, for example, that like a lot of like breaches and usually the apps that interact with wallets that doesn't have like this included right now. So even if like I don't know, you're using like a hardware wallet, like a wallet like Ambire to do transactions, most of the apps doesn't have like that included right now, and it's quite hard to actually know what's happening on their end. Like you probably need to do like a few test transactions to feel comfortable in doing so, because it's something like completely blind. And I think that whenever you're interacting with the wallets trying to do this, you actually see those alerts. And one of the things that, as we were discussing about like the transaction wise and also the wallet poisoning, is that some wallets, in order for you to do transactions and do this fast, usually show you like the address, but in a reduced way. So instead of using like all the different letters and numbers that compose like your public key, they show you like this reduced side of things, and then the last M, and actually you don't know what's happening in the middle. And even if you're using like how is it called? If you're like using like an address that you widely see on the app, you can't see the exact same address, and that actually usually panics me a little bit with different software wallets that doesn't have like that included right now. So definitely, I think there are like some improvements that can be done in that regard.
Yeah, I talked about this for dbank Iwan in one of the last episodes, where you have like the dbank UX, where you have the condensed addresses in the middle. You are not able to tell, is this like the poisoned address? Is this a real address? I don't know what's going on here. And then like with Ambire, I really like the solution that you guys have, like the, hey, this is the first time you would be sending something to this address in there. Because if you think about it, like the only real way that we can stop this kind of user error, if you will, is on a wallet level, because people will copy addresses from explorers. It will just happen. There's no way to avoid that. And I think that you guys are doing like a great job at the UX kind of things, where you're saying like, hey, at the least we can do is tell you like, this is the first time you would be sending funds, even if it looks like familiar. Please be sure that this is actually the address you want to interact with.
Yeah.
And what's also cool is like a watcher feature. I really like that feature inside of Ambire, and this is like the nerd check I always do inside of wallets. When I check a wallet, I always check if there's like the feature to watch an address. And basically a watcher address is you can enter any address you can imagine on the planet, basically, and put it into a watcher account. And then you can view your balances in there, etc. You cannot sign anything because obviously you do not own the private key to that wallet, but you can, yeah, just like monitor transfers going in and out. You could also connect to a wallet pretending to be the address, which is pretty useful if you're doing security stuff, and if you're trying, for example, wallet drainer websites, and you're trying to get the results out of there when it says like, hey, this is going to be draining all of your USDC, your USDT, your DAI coins, etc. So kudos to that feature. I really like that, and I think more people should be using it, because it also saves you from like connecting your hardware wallet, for example, for every single time. You can just put a watcher account in, and then like take a watch and the guess at the balances, etc. from the watcher wallet. Yeah, Nikita, how about you, man? Do you use watcher wallets? Like, this is one of the nerd checks I always do when I check out a wallet. Like, if I install a wallet for the first time, a watcher wallet, I always check, have they got a feature for watcher wallets? And MetaMask had one in their build for the devs, but they never had one in the live version, I think.
Yeah, I might not be actually familiar. What are watch wallets?
Yeah, you can just like add an address and then pretend to be that address. Obviously, you cannot sign anything,
yeah.
but you can view your balances. You can connect to certain websites, and then it would be like triggering the flow. Hey, if this is a wallet drainer and I'm using Vitalik's wallet, it's going to try to drain like $200,000 in ETH or whatever, which is a pretty cool feature.
That's interesting. That's like impersonation. Yeah, maybe not as familiar with that feature myself, but I think it's very useful. And one thing I would mention is that this is quite useful for like investigators, I would say. Like, for example, a lot of trainers have things built into them where they will target like wealthier wallets, and they won't trigger certain parts of the drainer, even if they like notice your balance or something else. Like exactly like you're saying, if you're pretending to be Vitalik, they'll drain you. But if you're a user with like $10 in your wallet, it won't do anything. So definitely an interesting tool for investigators.
Yeah, we also just catched up on clear signing. Nikita, I think you have been mentioning that and monitoring that yourself for a while. And yeah, do you think like the clearer intent of signing stuff will help users in the end?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's a very long and difficult problem to solve. There's so much you can do on chain. You need to almost have like a perfect understanding of what is happening, keep up to date with the latest contracts and all this kind of stuff. There's also often like bypasses and this kind of stuff. I think you can do it for like a preset amount of transactions, and they cover a lot of what people want to do. and there might be like standardized flow for people to run. And I think this can solve a lot of the problems.
Yeah. Also, we got a solution for some problems, which is 7702, Nikita. You wanted to talk about that. You are back. Perfect timing to be talking about 7702, Awan. I know that you guys at Ambire, you are one of the few that support 7702 almost like over a year after it has been like featured within like the Ethereum ecosystem. And it still surprises me that other major players didn't adopt the technology yet. Do you have your thoughts on that, why that is?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I don't know the real reasons. I can speculate, but I think that here the problem with communication and the role of the foundation is even bigger than. No, it's not even bigger. It's the same. It's like this IP, for example. It's a really useful one. It can really significantly improve the existing wallet UX. However, it needs to be communicated in the proper way from the authors, from the foundation, for the wider ecosystem with the campaign. Because other than that, when you let everyone decide if they're gonna implement it or not, I mean, they will still, even if you do a campaign, the decision will ultimately be into each developer individually. However, without a communication, educational campaign, you let too much space for speculation, which eventually happened with 7702, because the speculation and the FUD around it has been too big, and I think that many developers got scared by it. And the funnier thing here is that this speculation is actually complete myth. And the biggest problem of 7702 being used for drainers is actually an absolute myth, because I can get into more detail here, because when you go to there was a page that was tracking 7702 adoption, and I think that the biggest, the contract with most traction, the 7702 contract with most traction was Drainer. And so people started, speculating that 7702 is actually an EAP that lets everyone, not everyone, but malicious actors drain your wallet easy. It just will sign the wrong transaction, the wrong approval. This will do an approval on 7702, and voila, your wallet will be drained, which we've been trying to repeat for a long time and to tell everyone for a long time. It's not the case, because 7702 delegation in wallets is controlled by the wallet side, and wallets, usually wallets like us, like MetaMask, like OKX, and the wallets that have a 7702, they have whitelisted contracts for 7702 delegation, and the contracts are usually only the contracts that the wallets have created. Like we have our own Ambire 7702 delegator, meaning that whenever someone is using Ambire, they can never sign a 7702 delegation from Ambire, because it simply won't be whitelisted by us, which is the case with MetaMask and with all the wallets that support 7702. The cases where 7702 was used for drainers was from wallets that were already compromised, and the malicious actors had the private key, so they did the delegations without a wallet. They called the contract directly, which is something you can't do with the proper real wallet. And however, if you write 7702 on X, you will see that the reputation is already ruined, that most people think and fear 7702 because they think it's something that might have security implications, which is not the case. However, I mean, once the reputation has been ruined, there's Not much that you can do. Actually, there is much that you can do, but you need to do a campaign on a wider ecosystem level.
Yeah, the dashboard you're talking about is from Wintermute, and I think the statistic says it's like 66% of 7702 delegations being like used for crime delegations, and then again, it's just showing that like so many private keys do get compromised within this space.
Exactly.
Like the issue is not 7702, the issue is users using software wallet, like using that as their only protection against anything, and then getting their keys compromised by malware, by viruses, etc.
Yeah,
Nikita, we
yeah,
talked about this a lot, right? And I think this pretty much shows how complex the space has gotten when it comes to like understanding the technical nuances in between these kind of things.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Evan.
No, go on.
No, I was gonna mention that people misunderstand technology a lot. You know, they will look at something, and I think overall, Zone 2 is a great idea and extremely useful. And I'm glad Ambire, has implemented it. I hope other wallets bring it online as well. And I think the allow list, a lot of wallets, for example, I don't know, being to MetaMask, there's like they we're very cautious of the idea of allowance, right? Because I think there's a school of thought in crypto that says, hey, we need to allow users to do whatever they want. We don't want to be the gatekeepers, the kingmakers of anything. But allow lists are a very sensible security feature, and I think over time, the people have said, hey, like look at everybody being drained, look at everybody losing money. We need to focus on that instead. And maybe there's an escape hatch or something, right, where you can do whatever you want. But the sensible default is, I think, allow this first, and I'm glad that's spreading everywhere.
Yeah, the audio was a bit chopped off there, Nikita, but I think we could understood it quite well, that allow lists are a great feature, and you probably have to keep the balance between like, hey, we don't want to restrict too much as a wallet, between, hey, we're guiding the user to stay safe and not do something stupid with the data that he got on our end. One, is there any are there any additional risks when you think about smart accounts coming a user's way? Like if you, I want, yeah, for you. Like the main thing is that the normal user account is usually just controlled by a key. And then if you have a smart account, you can like, obviously you can batch transactions, you can sponsor gas fees and do batching and do more within one single action. But does that also like add additional security risks that you would say like to a normal user? Or would you say like, hey, if you have been transacting in crypto for a while, this is just like a bit more of an advanced step?
Okay. I can't think of any risks, like you're risking, having a much better UX, or you're risking doing things much faster. I don't know. I mean, those contracts that are in question, they are audited, and what they basically do is usually, allow batch transactions, or allow gas abstraction, which I can't see any risks in that, other than the user becoming a bit more lazy and trying to do more actions at the same time, or combine more actions, and just missing something. But I don't think that this is a risk. So yeah, I wouldn't say that these come with many risks. Yeah, I might be biased, but
Yeah, it probably like shows when we like have been having a leverage of data for some time, then we can tell like, hey, this has been changing in this way, or this direction was better or worse before. Kind of
yeah.
like depends, I guess, from experience. Nikita, what would you say? Like if the user has been using that for a while, and then we have like a proven thesis to say like, hey, this has been getting worse, or this has been significantly better since we introduced feature XYZ.
Yeah, I know. I think it's overall an improvement. I think things are. It's like, again, I think the main one of the main things we still have to overcome in this industry. Like there's like Ivan was saying at the start, this like it's not security and user experience, right? And user experience is very, very much needed to bring on more people into our industry, for them to understand how to use wallets, and just make it as easy as possible. And I think we can make it eventually to be a stage where self-custody, like this is a battle, I would also say, for like self-custody in many ways. And to get more people into self-custody, we need to make it practically like better than being on like a either like a centralized exchange or a centralized bank. And if you want to encourage self-custody, how do you do that? You need to make the experience literally better, right? And how do you do that? Let the user do more, loosen controls where it makes sense to give the user more power, but keep the controls where they're needed to prevent themselves from like shooting themselves in the foot and losing all their money, right? Because the worst UX is when all your money's gone, right? So I think overall, like you're saying, you don't just throw 7702 in there without any thought or reason. You put in there because it improves certain capabilities like batch transaction, sponsoring gas, some of these other areas, while still limiting, the capabilities. You can't just delegate anywhere you want. And this hits a very nice middle ground where you get the benefits while not really any of the downsides from what I can see. So it makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
Yeah, one area that needs improvement for sure is the mobile part of things. One. And you guys have been like developing a mobile solution for a while, and I've been seeing comments on X for a while that they said like, hey Ambire, when will you guys have like a mobile solution? Because I personally do hate mobile wallets. I gotta admit that I'm not using anything from mobile because I think it's so clunky. You cannot read the transaction usually. Then you get like horrible UI UX experience, as Nikita just said. Like the worst experience is when you have like nothing at all after all. And users are so used to sign stuff that they can't read, especially on mobile. So what kind of importance does like a good mobile solution have for you at Ambire?
Yeah, well, I think that it has big importance, and I'll give you few examples. I do agree that in the past the mobile experience in crypto was horrible, but the overall experience, like on extensions, wasn't that good either. However, I do think that in the last 2 years, mobile apps significantly improved. I think that whereas like MetaMask and Rainbow and Ravi are doing, they have really well working mobile apps. And the story for Ambire, like we had almost 2 years ago, we had a mobile app. However, we did a big change because Ambire started as a browser-based wallet, not a browser extension, but browser-based wallet when you type an address and there's the wallet. And the mobile app was a companion to this one. However, at some point we decided that we want to abandon the browser-based wallet, not abandon, but stop supporting it and create an extension, because this was the industry standard and everyone was expecting an extension, and there were some connectivity issues with browser-based wallet and so on. So the mobile app at some point, it couldn't catch up to the browser extension, but we had so much work to do on the browser extension in order to get it where we want it to be, which is kind of where it is today. So that we couldn't catch up fast enough to ship the mobile app, but it is coming right now. And we think that it is actually important because, yes, when you ask the OGs, many of them will say, I do my serious on-chain stuff always, on browser extension. I don't do mobile. And this is a common opinion in the space. However, first of all, crypto audience is getting younger, and the Gen Zs and the new generation, they're absolutely mobile first. And for them, it's like they just can't grasp this concept of doing important stuff in their browser extension. For them, mobile is just standard way, and we shouldn't be going against the modern times, and we should adapt to it. And there's no reason, like, it was the same with banking years ago. People were going into the bank to do serious stuff, and until they got convinced that the banking apps can do the same stuff. And now I just feel allergic to into going into a bank physically. I do all the stuff on my banking app, and it should be the same with crypto. Like, crypto UX should evolve to a point where people feel safe to use mobile apps. This is one thing. Second thing is crypto cards are getting more and more popular, because crypto is not and it's not anymore just magic internet money that you just like to see on screen and you never cash out and you never use to purchase real world stuff. That's not the case anymore. People want to be able to spend their crypto easily, legally, not do some shady off ramps into back doors and so on. And the normal companion app to a crypto card is the mobile app, because you're not using the crypto cards in front of your extension. Most of the time you're somewhere out in the world and doing something, and you need to be able to see what your balance is, if you can top it up, and so on and so on. And a mobile app is just something that you need for that. And even a step further, because of course I'm telling everything, all these things, because we've planned integrating a crypto card into our upcoming mobile app, of course. But another thing that we've planned and we're working on is a security model on which, because right now, as you know, Ambire supports safe accounts, NOSI safe accounts, and people love the experience. And so we want to take it one step further and introduce multi-sig safe accounts on which you can hold one key on your browser extension, the other key you can hold on your mobile app, and you can be using it you can be using your mobile app as kind of a 2FA, if you wish, which will dramatically improve your UX. Because imagine one of the keys is stored on your, say, iPhone, Apple, iCloud, which is one of the strongest security enclaves out there. Another one is it's self-custodial wallets. It's held by you somewhere, and this makes it like super hard to. It can even make hardware wallets obsolete to an extent. So when you get all these things, I think that mobile app is not just something novel or interesting to explore. Is a must for crypto and for wallets in 2026.
Yeah, I think making use of that of like those enclaves on the phone, and just like bring that to a FA flow that everybody's very familiar with already, and just applying that to wallets makes a ton of sense. I'm also happy that crypto cards are just like proliferating and growing everywhere now. I think one of the major issues with crypto in the past has been like you kind of just accumulate it, and then maybe eventually you have to sell it off to if you want to go spend on things, but you always have to keep a certain portion of your money in fiat, right? Because you have expenses, you need to go get groceries, you need to pay rent or whatever it is, right? And so I think with crypto cards you could get reasonably to a point where 100% of the funds that you own are stored in crypto, and you just spend them through the card. And I think that's a very interesting place to be, because now you could be 100% in crypto and not really need to store anything in fiat at all, which puts you in an interesting world. I'd also love to look into what the I guess the tax implications of that are kind of interesting thought, just because if you sell your crypto, that's like a taxable event, right? But if you pay for something with your crypto, what does that really mean? And are there strange loopholes there? Like, what if you, instead of selling something off, you I don't know, use your crypto card to buy like $10,000 of like another stock. Like, what does that mean? Like, and is that as yeah? So I think it puts you in an interesting spot, but I think it gets us closer to just crypto being treated as a currency rather than like
Yeah.
kind of like almost like a stock that it's still treated tax wise at least.
Absolutely.
Got two more things, and then we are wrapping the episode because we're nearing the hour. One thing is an PSA from my side, because if you're waiting for Ambire's mobile solution and you're like watching the App Store time and time again, and you're waiting for the Ambire extension to pop up, please make sure that Ambire actually announced that this is the official one, because we have two versions of fake revoked.cash apps right now in the App Store, so you can download them. They are fake. If you download them, it will ask you for your seed phrase immediately.
The App
If you
Store.
if you insert your seed phrase into your revoke.cash app, you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna steal your funds. So we reported this. This has been over 24 hours, and they are still live. So it's bad. So the Apple App Store, they had a Ledger fake app a few weeks ago as well, where someone lost $9 million, I think. And this is crazy. So they're not vetting the process really good. So please make sure, especially when it comes to wallets, because with wallets, obviously you're going to enter a seed phrase inside of a wallet to use it. If you share your seed phrase with a fake copycat app, you're sharing the seed phrase with the bad actors, and all your money will be gone.
Yeah, 100%. We'll take a look at those remote cash apps. Maybe we can probably help there as well.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. All right, one last thing I want for you maybe first. What's your most looked forward thing, or what you're most excited for in the future when it comes to wallets and crypto? Any
I think
specific technical development you're looking into?
That's an interesting one. I mean, in wallets in general, I don't know about Ambire. I'm really looking forward to doing a really seamless experience between the mobile and the extension, because first the multi-sig wallet, it's something that it will be really interesting for me as a user to explore and to have. And the other one is we are looking into ways to easily export accounts from device to another one, and sync your devices just by scanning a QR code from one device to other. And I think that this portability is something that I'm, as a user, really looking forward. But yeah, it's not a super general question. However, this is a thing that I'm looking forward to.
Nikita, what about you?
Yeah, I'm excited for the time. I can just go, anywhere I'm paying right now and get a coffee or somewhere else. I tap my phone and it just pulls directly from my wallet instead of using one of my credit cards in like Google Pay or whatever, right? And I think we're getting closer and closer to this stage, right? I think with crypto cards, in some way that's happening. I guess you can technically probably add your crypto card to Google or Apple Pay. So I should actually give that a try. But yeah, that's what I'm excited for. Is when like I can live fully inside crypto. I can go to anywhere that I would normally pay, tap my wallet, tap my phone, and it just pulls from my crypto wallet. And that's like, I'm now living 100% the crypto life instead of right now, like maybe like 70-30% or so.
Juan, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I agree with Nikita. I would love to live under of my crypto and not to have like this kind of dual interaction. I would say for me, would love to have like some kind of insurances with wallets. Like, you have your money in the bank, you got like much more sure that that money is not going anywhere. And with wallets, you don't know what can actually happen. Like we saw like a pretty important wallet having like an issue with their Chrome extension, and a lot of users actually losing money due to that. And pretty much it's like a bank getting hacked and you lose your money out of there. So I think we need to get to that step where we can rely on wallets being as safe as your normal regular banks outside crypto, and that should be the real thing. That's, I think, that the next step in order for me to leave more money on wallets in general, apart like from mostly on like software wallets and not hardware wallets that I feel a bit more safe. But yeah, I think I wish to that moment where I can live safely and not being concerned about like my money getting stolen.
Yeah, peace of mind is actually a big one. You won. Last words for you.
Like last words in what context? Sorry, was the question?
Yeah, we are wrapping the show, so you can, if you have anything that you wanna plug anyone in with, or push Ambire one last time, you can just have the clothing word now.
I've been pushing Ambire more than enough for the last hour, and I really want to thank you guys about that. It was amazing. Good words from us for ChainPatrol because, as you know, we did this pilot testing with you. It was amazing, and I think that what you're doing is really important in the space, but not only. And it's something that I encourage more teams to just give a try and see how it works, because I think that you're off for a good cause. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, and I think it's always good to work, with people that understand the security space well and understand, the needs of balancing user experience and the security side of things. So I'm a fan of a lot of things you built inside of Ambire. So definitely recommend people try this out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for your time. I'm wishing you guys a good rest of the day. We will be in touch. We will talk to you soon and see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Ron.